Nurse Keelara had worked in the Galactic Medical Station's trauma ward for 12 cycles, and she thought she'd seen everything. The worst injuries, the most exotic diseases, the strangest physiologies. Nothing fazed her anymore. Her colleagues often joked that she could remain calm while performing surgery during a supernova. That was before the human arrived. The unconscious Deathworlder had been brought in by a merchant guild transport, found floating in an escape pod near the Vega system. The preliminary scans were disturbing. Bone density 3 times galactic standard, muscle fibers that looked more like steel cables, and a cardiovascular system that seemed designed to function under extreme stress. "Poor thing," Keelara murmured, checking the life support readings. Her 4 delicate arms moved with practiced efficiency as she adjusted the intravenous feeds. What kind of hellish world produces creatures like this? The human. The chart listed him as Technical Sergeant Jake Williams. Had been comatose for 2 standard days. His injuries were severe. Multiple fractures, internal bleeding, severe burns across 40% of his body. By all galactic medical standards, he should have been dead. Instead, he was healing at an unprecedented rate. "Nurse Keelara," called Dr. Vexlon from across the ward. "How's our Deathworlder patient?" "Stable, doctor, though his cellular regeneration is off the charts." "I've never seen." The scream that erupted from behind her was unlike anything in her experience. It wasn't the refined distress call of most sentient species, or even the structured panic responses she'd learned to recognize. This was something primal, raw, and absolutely terrifying. Jake Williams sat bolt upright in his medical bed, eyes wide with what Keelara's translator identified as combat alertness. His head swiveled, taking in the unfamiliar surroundings, and when his gaze locked onto her, every instinct she possessed screamed, "Predator." "Where am I?" he demanded, his voice carrying harmonics that made her bones vibrate. "Who are you? Where's my squad?" Keelara froze. In 12 cycles of medical practice, she'd developed protocols for confused patients, aggressive patients, even delusional patients. But nothing had prepared her for a creature that radiated such concentrated lethality while wearing a hospital gown. "Please remain calm," she managed, her voice barely a whisper. "You're in a medical facility. You were injured and..." "Injured?" Jake looked down at himself, taking inventory. Burns that should have taken months to heal had reduced to pink scars. Bones that had been shattered were whole. "How long was I out? What did you do to me?" 2 days, Keelara said, backing toward the emergency alert. "We provided standard medical care. Your species appears to have remarkable healing." 2 days. Jake's expression shifted to something that made her freeze in terror. "The colony ship. Did you find survivors?" "There were 300 civilians on that transport." The raw anguish in his voice cut through her fear. Suddenly, Keelara realized she wasn't looking at a monster. She was looking at someone whose world had been shattered, who'd woken up in an alien place after what was clearly a catastrophic loss. Her training kicked in. Not the xenobiology protocols or the trauma response procedures, but the simple, fundamental principle that had guided her through every difficult case. Sometimes the most powerful medicine was just being present for someone's pain. "I don't know about survivors," she said gently, moving closer instead of away. "But I know you fought to save them. The burn patterns on your body show you shielded others from an explosion. The guild transport said they found you in the last escape pod launched from a civilian vessel." Jake's breathing slowed slightly. They targeted the civvies first. Bastards knew we'd die to protect them." His hands clenched. "I should have been faster." "You did everything you could," Keelara said, her fear evaporating entirely. "And now you're alive. That means you can honor them by continuing to fight for others." For a long moment, they stared at each other across the impossible gulf between their species. Then Jake nodded slowly. "You're right. Thank you, nurse?" "Keelara. And you're welcome, Sergeant Williams." Later, when Jake had been briefed on the colony ship attack and rejoined what remained of his unit, Dr. Vexlon found Keelara updating his medical files. "I heard you calmed down the Deathworlder without sedatives or restraints," he said. How did you manage it? Kilara looked up from her work. I remembered that underneath all that terrifying biology, he was just someone who needed care. Remarkable. And what did you learn about treating Deathworlders? She smiled. That sometimes the strongest creatures need the gentlest touch. The next week, Kilara received a commendation for establishing first-contact medical protocols with human patients. But more importantly, she received a message from Sergeant